Hey, I am feeling this move right now from Trevor tonight. He told me that when it's time to get loose, when it's time to get ready, you start rubbing your hands together. So I hope everybody's out there. Yes, I know it is Saturday night. There's a lot of things you can be doing right now, but you're choosing to be here at the Change the World Summit. So first of all, I want to say thank you, Stacy NC Grant, my sister from another mother. I so appreciate you. You just did a phenomenal job. And of course, I want to say thank you to Shay and Trevor. You guys have been absolutely making your mark, doing some remarkable things, using the actual social media, using this amazing system you guys get out to allow us to now step into new century and finally be able to bring a message from the comfort of your own studio, to be able to bring that message to people right now as they're driving in their cars, as they're sitting home, as whatever it is that they're doing, they're able to feed in and not just lead in, but also be able to feed their minds and, of course, also feed their souls. And, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to none other than Mr. Dr. Willie Jolly. And you know what? I keep saying this. There are certain mentors that you sit at their feet. And I've gotten the opportunity to sit at the feet of Mr. Les Brown that's poured into me, that has really opened so many doors for me. And there are certain mentors that you study from afar. And Dr. Willie Jolly is one of those individuals that I have studied from afar. I have watched countless of his videos, countless of his material, and I know that the reason why I'm able to do what I do right now is because there's people like Dr. Willie Jolly, the Zig Ziglars, the Jim Rohn, the John C. Maxwells, the Les Browns of the world, who actually took the time to kick doors down and make things possible. And so I understand that no man or woman is an island in and of themselves. And so, of course, the only reason why we all choose are able to do the things that we do is because somebody else made it possible. So I want to say thank you to Dr. Willie Jolly. Thank you, Shay and Trevor. Keep doing what you're doing. And Stacy NC Grant, you know you're my sister from another mother, and I so appreciate you. And here's what else I want to say. Here's what I know. That there's some of you right now, this is what they said, it's Saturday. And so what kind of person tunes in to motivation on Saturday? What type of person tries to feed their mind? What type of person decides that they're going to get uncomfortable and say, hey, you know what? I've got to close the door because there's some things that I need to learn. No, I can't go to the movies tonight. No, I can't join you all for dinner because they understand that there's something special. They've got to get some information. There's some things that they're still looking to accomplish. And so you say, what kind of person is that? And that kind of person is you. The kind of individual that knows in their heart that they want to change the world, but also understands this, that before you can change the world, that you've got to first change yourself. And so here's what I thought about, and I struggled and I thought about this for tonight. And most of you, and you know that I love to bring you the motivation. That I love to do. But I also understand that today's a new day, and the things that worked yesterday no longer work today. And so not only that, but there's tons of extra competition. And so with all that competition and all the things that are going on right now, that there's going to be some things that you've got to do that's going to have to separate you from everybody else. And so, yes, I could get you fired up right now. And yes, I could just share some great motivation with you, but I also understand that there's starting to be a huge gap. There's starting to be a bigger gap between who? Between the haves and the have-nots. And the reason why this gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger is because there's a huge distinction and a large gap between what? Between their mindset, and that is the things that are going on between their 7 inches. They've discovered, and scientists have said, that the average distance between your 2 ears is about 7 inches. And so one of the things that we have to learn to do is master that conversation that is going on in those 7 inches. We've got to master that internal conversation. There's an old African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, then the enemy outside can do you no harm. And for most of us, the biggest challenge that we'll ever have to overcome is that conversation that is going on in our mind. That conversation that says that you don't know if you can do it. The conversation that says that I don't have the right initials behind my last name. The conversation that says that you're not adequate enough. The conversation that says I'm too old. The conversation that says that I don't have the resources. And so here's what I know, that in order for you to take it to the next level, in order for you to reduce the big gap between the haves and the have-nots, you're going to have to master this conversation in your mind. You're going to have to elevate your mindset. But here's the next thing you've got to understand, and that's what I'm getting at tonight, because I decided, instead of just giving you motivation, that I want to equip you with some skill sets, some things that you can use. Because here's what I understand, that it's absolutely, absolutely no surprise that the people who have massive success in the world, when you think about individual like Obama, and regardless of what your political party is or whatever, you can say that Obama was a long shot, that it wasn't expected that Mr. President Obama would become president of the United States. And if you look at Oprah Winfrey, who at one point was in Mississippi, who used old potato bags as actual clothing, who was raped very early on in her age and pretty much grew up in poverty, you didn't think that Oprah Winfrey would get to the level that she is right now. When you think about individuals like a Mark Cuban or a Richard Branson, and these individuals who didn't start off with a whole lot of money, but they were willing to put forth some grit and some gumption and make some things happen. When you think about all these successful people, and like Steve Jobs, as Stacey NC Grant mentioned earlier, and unfortunately Steve Jobs has actually passed away, but he's left his legacy behind. And if you think about these individuals like a Joel Osteen, you think about all these individuals and you say to yourself, what is it that all of them have in common? And so if you're a note taker, I want you to start writing this down. What they all have in common is that they're all extremely successful and great communicators. And so here's what I believe, that as we go through going forward right now, and if you want to reduce the gap, that what you're going to have to do is strengthen your communication skills. And so people ask me all the time, Andy, what do you think the key of success is? What do you think is the thing that's going to allow me to have a competitive advantage? What do you think is the thing that's going to allow me to lead the pack? What do you think is the thing that's going to allow me to break through the noise? And here's what I say. What I say is your ability to effectively communicate, your ability to communicate about your products, about your services, your ability to communicate your story about what makes you unique, what makes your product unique, what makes your nonprofit unique, what makes you unique that you actually should be the one who gets the promotion. It's your ability to communicate, and I can't stress this enough, because here's what I know. It's great to give you some motivation, but I also know this, that unfortunately, motivation is not going to necessarily help you to pay the bills. Motivation is not necessarily going to allow you to reduce the gap. Motivation, unfortunately, is not going to necessarily allow you to break through the noise. And so what's going to allow you to break through the noise is your ability to effectively communicate. And so I want to start off by thanking you for taking this time right now to carve out everything else that you're doing, to invest in yourself, because here's what I know, that there's absolutely no better investment that you can make. Warren Buffett, who's perhaps one of the most successful men on the face of the planet. Warren Buffett, who's spent millions of dollars and has turned companies around. Warren Buffett, who's bought companies, turned them around and sold them back for hundreds of millions of dollars. Warren Buffett, who's invested in real estate, who's made some of the greatest investments in the last couple of decades. They said, Mr. Buffett, here's what I ask you. What do you think is one of the best investments that anyone can make? And he thought about it for a second. And he said, the best investment that you can make is an investment in yourself. That's right. It's the investment that you're making right now by being part of the Change the World Summit. It's the investment that you make when you decide to pick up the books and listen to the audio CDs. It's the investment that you make when you decide to get on the plane and actually fly and go somewhere and actually participate in a seminar. It's the investment that you make when you wake up and you work out and you go to the gym. It's the investment that you make when you start strengthening yourself spiritually and all the things that you're doing. It's the investment in yourself. And so why is that? Because if you invest in real estate, guess what? You can lose your money. If you invest in the stock market, guess what? You can lose your money. But here's one investment that if you decide to actually apply it, here's one investment that if you actually decide to just keep pushing it forward, the investment that you won't lose is an investment in yourself. It's an investment in yourself. And so what I'm hoping is that over these next about 40 minutes or so, that I'm going to be able to help you to start thinking about one of what I believe to be one of the most important investments that you can make. And it's an investment in your ability to effectively communicate, your ability to be able to actually share your products, your services, to be able to share your story in order to have influence, in order to persuade people to buy your products and your services, in order to actually be able to get the promotion, in order to get somebody to support your nonprofit organization, in order to do whatever it is that you're looking to do. Because here's what I know, that today more than ever, it is absolutely, completely competitive. And so, of course, for those of you who maybe this is your very first time, you're being introduced to Andy Henriquez, and so you're saying, well, who is this guy? And so I just want to take just a few moments to tell you a little bit about my personal story. And so I was born to Haitian immigrants. My parents came to this country in fulfillment of the American dream. They just wanted to get their piece of the American pie. And one of the things that's really essential in the Caribbean household, they tell you, here's what you got to do. You got to go to school, you get a good job, and of course, after you get a good job, you'll be able to pay and support for your family. And that's what I grew up being taught. And maybe some of you can relate to that. Maybe, education was really stressed in your family. They said, hey, you got to go to school, work very hard so that one day you'll be able to actually get a good job. But then maybe perhaps you'll be able to subscribe to the old system way, which many of them worked for them at the time, which was to work 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to retire on 40% of your income. And so what we've learned is that that system no longer works. But at that time, I didn't know that. And so I did everything that my parents told me to do. I went to school at Florida State University. I stayed and I actually graduated summa cum laude. It's just a fancy word for saying that I graduated at the top of my class. And then I stayed one additional year. I got my master's degree in corporate accounting. And then I got a group of people that were in my master's program, and we studied like crazy. And we studied for the CPA exam, which is a certified public accountant. And I studied for the CPA exam, and I actually passed all 4 sections on the very first time. And then I landed a job with one of the largest professional service firms in the world, PricewaterhouseCoopers. And now I'm excited. I'm thinking that, man, this is it. I am on my way to success. And so I said, this has got to be it. And so I started working in corporate America, and I got to be honest with you. It's not very long until I started having this internal turmoil. And maybe some of you are going to be able to relate to this. You see, I had done everything that I was told to do. I was told, Andy, go to school. I did that, get a good education. I did that, and get a good job. And so that somehow was supposed to equate to significance. It was supposed to equate somehow to actually happiness. But here's what happened. After working there, and I had gotten to the point I was about at a 1.5 year mark, I started to have this internal turmoil. And the reason why is because I was waking up every single day to a basic routine. I was waking up to the sound of an alarm clock, jumping out of my bed, jumping into the car, fighting traffic, getting to a job in which I knew that something was saying, Andy, there's got to be more than this. And maybe you know what that's like. To either show up to a job or show up to a relationship or show up to a place in your life in which you know that something is saying that there's got to be more than this. And I've got to be honest with you. I spent about 1.5 years with that conversation going on in my mind. And the reason why I was having that conversation is because I was fearful. The reason why I was having that conversation is because I didn't know if I could have the courage to actually walk away from having spent all this time in getting my undergraduate degree and getting my master's degree and studying for the CPA exam. I didn't know what would happen if I decided to leave my job, if things didn't work out, if I was going to have to come back and beg for them to give me my job back. I didn't want to have to deal with the criticism. I didn't want to have to deal with the potential failure. So to be honest with you, for 1.5 years, fear had me isolated. And I don't know if you know what that's like. Maybe perhaps at one point you wanted to move. You wanted to write a book. You wanted to actually start a business. You wanted to do a career change. You wanted to go back to school. You wanted to do something significant with your life. But yet and still, there is something inside of you that was holding you back, some type of fear. It was the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of things not working out, the fear of judgment, whatever that fear was. And so that fear held me in that place. And so I contemplated, and I'm not ashamed to admit it now. For 1.5 years, I had that conversation. And then finally, in December of 2004, I built something up called Courage. And there's a gentleman who is a writer, and his writing pen name was Ambrose Redmoon. And here's what he said. He said that courage is not the absence of fear. He said, but courage is the judgment that the thing that you want is greater than the fear. It's the judgment that the thing that you want to write this book, the thing that you want to have financial independence, the thing that you want to be able to change the legacy of your last name, the thing that you want to go back to school, the thing that you want to be able to save your marriage, the thing that you want, that it's greater than the fear. And so finally, I got some courage. And in December of 2004, I walked into the office of Tammy Klein, who was the head of HR at the time, and I said, I am no longer going to be able to do this. And that right there became a defining moment. There's a gentleman by the name of Kevin Costner, and here's what he said. He said, when the defining moment comes, either you define the moment or the moment defines you. Either you define the moment and you decide to pursue your goals and your dreams. Either you define the moment, you decide to take a chance on yourself. Either you define the moment, you decide that you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Either you define the moment, you decide to step out of your comfort zone, or the moment defines you. And you decide to play it small. The moment defines you. And you resort back to your comfort zone. The moment defines you. And you find yourself being left behind. And so for me, that was the defining moment. And so that would begin this journey that I have been on and continue to be on, and actually fulfilling my destiny. And this beautiful journey has allowed me to tap into what I believe is my calling. And my calling in life is to be able to really, truly inspire others and to pour into others and to uplift in others in order to empower them and, most importantly, give them the things that they need to be able to show up for their lives. And so here's what I know, that as much as I've chosen to sit right here before you and deliver this message, that I was called and chosen to do this. And this is something that I can't walk away from. And once I realized that it was my calling, one of the things I did was I got very serious. And then I started going to workshops and seminars. And then I reached out to some of the best in the industry, and I was going to all these seminars and workshops across the country. And then finally, I was able to land one particular mentor that fundamentally just shifted my complete mindset. And that gentleman is Mr. Les Brown. He's a world-renowned motivational speaker, best-selling author. And I had the ability to study Les closely, and most importantly, to be able to share the stage with Les. And now today, I can humbly tell you that I have been extended just so many opportunities. I get the opportunity to fly across the country to deliver keynote messages. I have the ability to be able to go in and actually train and speak to CEOs of companies. I've had the ability to actually go in and actually speak to sales forces. I've had the ability to be on national television, to speak at national conventions with audiences of a couple of thousand people. And I don't share that to impress you, but to just simply impress upon you that something special happens when you decide to actually pursue your goals and your dreams, when you decide that you're going to actually define the moment. And so what I'm hoping is that during the rest of our time, that you're going to start thinking of some ideas, and hopefully that I'm going to equip you with a particular thing, a skill set. And of course, I'm also going to extend to you an invitation for those of you who are really serious and understand that what Warren Buffett said is absolutely correct, and that you have to invest in yourself. And so, of course, before I even continue, here's what I want to do. I want to start off by giving you a free gift. And you know, it was a while back I did a teleseminar in which people paid about $47, and the name of this teleseminar was Unlock the Power of Story, because I personally believe that the X factor, one of the things that's going to allow you to separate yourself from everybody else in the marketplace, is your ability to strategically and to be able to communicate your story, your message. And so on this teleseminar, people called in from all across the country, and I charged $47 for that teleseminar, but I want you to get this teleseminar for free. And so what I want you to do right now is you're going to write down this website. It's AndyHenriquez.com. You're going to see it come up on the screen as I'm talking to you. It's A-N-D-Y, last name Henriquez, H-E-N-R-I-Q-U-E-Z. And when you go to the page, AndyHenriquez.com, you're going to see a place where it's going to allow you to opt in. It's going to say free teleseminar, $47 value. You're going to simply put your cursor over that section. You're going to put in your name and email address. You're going to receive this free teleseminar that I did called Unlocking the Power of Story. And most importantly, you're going to tap into my network where you're going to continue to receive free motivational messages from me. And I'm also going to continue to share some great resources, techniques, and some strategies and some things that I believe that are going to allow you to take your life to the next level. And so that's my personal gift from you. So once again, you're going to go to AndyHenriquez.com. On that homepage, you're going to look, you're going to see a place that says Unlocking the Power Story, free teleseminar. Put your name and email address. It's going to allow me to deliver that gift to you free of charge. And that's just a gift for me to do. And I want you to listen to that and really marinate on that. And then, of course, here's what I want to talk to you about. Here's one of the things that I know. That as I sit and I talk to my coaching students, and I have people who are part of my Inner Circle coaching program, people who are doing one-on-one coaching, and people who are part of my group coaching sessions. And so one of the reoccurring themes that people just want to know, what is it going to take that's going to allow me to break through the noise? What is it right now that's going to allow me to be able to promote my products and my services? What is it right now that's going to allow me to land a promotion? What is it right now that's going to allow me to separate myself from everybody else? And so here's one of the things that I know, that the thing that's going to allow you to separate yourself from everybody else is your ability to strategically communicate, to be able to talk about your products and your services, to be able to promote yourself, to be able to have influence, to be able to walk in a room and communicate the things, your ideas, and the things that you absolutely want to do. And so here's one of the things that I also know. This happens to be one of the few areas that most people never take the time to actually invest in this area. Other than going to school and getting their standard education and whatever they learned from their environment, from the people who are talking around them, and whatever they learned from their parents, their mother and their father, most people have never really taken the time to actually invest in their communication ability. And you ask yourself the question, why? Because when you look at the most influential people in the world, like the Oprah Winfrey's, President Barack Obama, and Steve Jobs, who has actually passed away, and the Warren Buffetts of the world, and the Susie Ormans of the world, and those individuals, the Joel Osteens of the world, the individuals, the T.D. Jakes of the world, the individuals that have significant influence, the Dr. Willie Jollies of the world, the George Frazier's of the world, the Stacey N.C. Grants of the world, those people who are making some things happen, the reason why they have the ability to do it is because of the fact that they are truly great communicators. And so you ask yourself, the question is, why is it then that people don't spend time actually investing in their ability to effectively communicate? Why don't they do that? And so here's what I plan on doing with you. With the rest of the time that I'm with you, I plan on sharing with you some techniques and some strategies that I believe that are going to allow you to take your communication skills to the next level. And what I'm also hoping is that I'm going to start getting you to think about your communication at a completely different level. And for those of you who maybe you haven't been serious about your communication, or maybe you haven't really invested in your communication, I want to completely create a fundamental shift in your mindset so that you understand that the key to success, the true key to success, is your ability to effectively communicate. And then here's what I also promise to do. Here's what I promise to do. I am going to make you an offer, an amazing offer, and I'm going to tell you this. It's an offer that I have never, ever made before. And this offer is going to be specifically for those who know that they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, specifically for those who know that they need a competitive advantage, specifically for those who know that they need to take their lives to the next level, for those that want to have more influence, for those who want to be able to promote their products and their services, for those who want to be able to walk into a room and be able to actually demand because of their presence in the room, for those of them who want to learn the techniques and the strategies that are used by industry experts in order to get people to take action, in order to make some things happen. And so for those individuals, I promise you that I'm going to make you an amazing offer, an offer that you cannot refuse. And so if you're a note taker, here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab a notepad right now. I want you to grab yourself a piece of paper, and I'm going to start pouring into you because, like I said, I could give you some motivation, but I'd rather give you a skill set, something that you're going to be able to use and apply that's going to allow you to take yourself to the absolute next level. And so grab yourself a piece of paper, a notepad, and grab a pen, a pencil, and I want you to write this down. And so here's one of the things that I realized, that number one, in order for you to start working and developing your communication skills, that you're not going to be able to do that if you don't first understand where you are. And so here's what I know. Chances are over the last month, or last 3 weeks or so, last 4 weeks, you have most likely got in your car and actually had to use a GPS device. And so most likely in your cell phone, or if you've got a portable GPS device in your car, somebody said, hey, meet me someplace, and you actually had to put in a physical address into your GPS device. And so here's what I know. When you had to actually go to that actual destination, the first thing you had to do is you actually had to put in the actual destination into the GPS device. So they told you, okay, I want you to meet me at 123 Elm Street and such city. So you actually typed in the location. But here's what I also know, that before your GPS device could actually give you the actual instructions and directions to get you to the destination, that the first thing that had to happen, your GPS device had to first pinpoint your exact location. In other words, the GPS had to know where you were before it could take you to where you wanted to go. And so the same thing applies when it comes to your communication skills. Before you can take your communication skills to the next level, the first thing that you've got to be able to do is you've got to be able to pinpoint where you are right now. And so we've got to take a very serious and true look at our communication skills. I mean, is the extent of your communication you basically having maybe read one or two books, or maybe just your regular school education and listening to your parents? And if that's all the time and effort you spend in your communication, I'm telling you right now, you've done yourself a significant disservice. Because this is the one area that if there's ever been a time for you to actually invest in the area, this is the area that you want to start working on. And so, of course, in order for you to be able to get to the next level, we got to first know where you are. So here's what I know. We essentially go through 4 different levels. We go through 4 different levels of learning and 4 stages when it comes to our communication skills. And if you're a note taker, I want you to write this down. The very first stage of learning, when you are trying to get to the next level, the very first stage is something that's called unconscious incompetence. Write that down. So you're going to write stage 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go through the 4 stages. The very first stage is something that's called unconscious incompetence. That's the first stage. Now, the second stage, and I just want you to write this down real quick. The second stage is something that is called conscious incompetence. Write that down. Conscious incompetence. That is the second stage. Now, the third stage of learning is something that is called consciously competent. Write that down. That is the third stage of learning. Conscious competence. And finally, the final stage of learning is something that is called unconscious competence. Those are the 4 stages of learning. Don't worry about spelling this right. Don't get caught up. We're going to go through every single one of these stages. Now, the reason why we're going through this is because I need you to identify where you are in your particular stages of actually communication skills, in the way that you present yourself, the way that you present your products, your services, the way that you promote the things that you're looking to do. And so the very first stage is something that is called unconscious incompetence. And so you say, well, what is that, Andy? That is the person that just doesn't know what they don't know. They don't understand that the fact that they haven't taken the time to actually work and develop their communication skills. They don't understand that this is an absolute liability for them. They don't understand that it's holding them back from actually promoting their products and their services. It's holding them back from getting the promotion. It's holding them back from getting people to actually stroke checks for their nonprofit organization. It's actually holding them back from actually being able to create the actual connections and network with certain individuals, because they get into certain settings and they clam up. They go to networking events and they try to find somebody that they already know because they're so uncomfortable communicating. Or they actually have an opportunity to speak to somebody and they think about all the things that they want to say about their products and their services. And when the opportunity presents itself, all of a sudden, here's what happens. They fold because they haven't actually worked on this area. They haven't practiced this area. And when I think about this, I'll never forget this. I was actually at a networking event. And I was at this networking event, and there was this gentleman that was there. This was actually a networking event that mostly consisted of entrepreneurs and real estate investors. And there was one particular gentleman there who was almost like a fishy out of the water, but I thought it was a great place for him to be because he was a photographer and really the only photographer in the room. And so we had an opportunity to go around the room, and everybody had the opportunity to really present themselves and talk about what it is that they do. And so we were going around the room, and everybody was giving, I guess you'll call your elevator pitch or your 60-minute value proposition or 60-second value proposition, whatever you want to call it, but their quick strategic soundbite. And so as they were going around the room, it got to this photographer, and of course, everyone's wondering what he's going to say. He jumps up, he stands up, and he says the same thing that every other person says. You know, he says, listen, my name is, whatever his name was, Robert. I'm a photographer. I do all kind of events. So if you're doing birthday parties, if you have an actual event, if you have a wedding, you have a ceremony, and you're looking for a good photographer, please definitely call me in. I would love to actually come. And then he mumbled something at the very end, something very simplistic. And he said, here's another thing that I sort of do too. In case that you want to, we can set up a camera, and I'll set up a camera in front of one of your loved ones, and we'll capture some great information from one of your loved ones in the event that they sort of pass away in the future. And he said, if you want one of my business cards, you can see me at the end of the actual meeting. And so I'm sitting there, and what happened is I realized that I caught something that I don't think anybody else in the room caught. that this man had an extraordinary service, a unique niche that he had. But here's what happened. He failed to properly communicate. And so here's what I waited for. I waited to the end of the meeting, and I walked around and I walked up to this guy and I said, wait a second. I said, could you do me just a quick favor? You mentioned something at the end of your whole little 60-second pitch. And I think I have an idea of what it is that you do, but I just need a little more clarification. And I said, well, what is this thing that you're talking about, sitting somebody in front of the actual camera? And so here's what he said. He said, listen, man, I am Jamaican descent. And he says that my grandmother, man, she used to have these amazing recipes. She used to have all these amazing sayings and these things that she always used to say. And unfortunately, my grandma passed away. And one of the things is, during one of our family reunions, we all got together and we were sort of reminiscing about all the things that my grandma used to say. We were reminiscing about her secret remedies when you like got sick or you had a stomach ache or whatever it was. We were reminiscing about her great food recipes and how she made some good jerk chicken and all this stuff. But here's what happened. She passed away and we were never able to catch her on video. And so I decided to create a service so that for people who are actually still have their loved ones alive, that we can actually set up a video camera, put their loved ones in front of the video camera, and actually allow them to talk about all their actual recipes, allow them to talk about their special sayings, allow them to talk about the lineage and history. And I'm listening to this guy, I'm like, whoa, that is an amazing idea. But here's what happened. Unfortunately, he just didn't know what he didn't know. You see, this guy is what you would call, he was unconsciously incompetent. You see, he had this extraordinary service, but he just didn't know how to effectively communicate. You see, he just didn't know. No one taught him, no one trained him on how to share his message, because here's what I know. Had he worked on his communication skills, had he worked on learning how to actually convey his message across, this is maybe perhaps how he would have did his presentation. He could have started his presentation off by saying, hey, how are you? My name is Robert. And yeah, I know I'm in this room, and maybe most of you don't have a videographer or a photographer, and you wouldn't expect a videographer or photographer to be in this room. But let me ask you a question. How many of you in this room actually have a grandparent, an older person in your family? Maybe they have the secret recipes. Maybe they're the person that knows all the family stories. They're the person that you love and you hold dear in your heart. Raise your hands if that's you. And there'd probably be some hands that went up in the room. And then he could go into his personal story. Well, I had that person. That person was my grandmother. My grandma, she had some great recipes. My grandma, she had all the family stories. But unfortunately, my grandma passed away. And then after she passed away, I came up with a great idea. I said, what if those individuals that still have a loved one alive, if we set up a video camera and had those people get in front of the camera, and that way we could capture the recipes. That way we could capture whatever it is that they have to say. That way we'd be able to preserve the legacy of the actual family. And so how many of you, again, in this room actually have a loved one that you have? Raise your hand. How many of you would love to catch that family member on video before they actually make their transition and go away? Raise your hand. If that's you, I want you to see me after the meeting. Now, did you see a difference in that? Now, that's what happens. That's what happens between a person who has actually taken the time to work and develop their communication skills and somebody who has not. And so here's what I know. When you're in that first stage of learning, you just are unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. And so what you don't realize is that you are your own worst enemy. You are a liability because of the fact that you haven't worked and you haven't developed your communication skills. And so that individual, unfortunately, is walking around and has no idea that the reason why they can't get more people into the business, the reason why they're not moving their products, the reason why they're not able to get more influence, the reason why they're not making some things happen is because they haven't worked and they haven't developed their communication skills. That person is in the first stage of learning. They're called unconsciously incompetent. Now, the second stage of learning, this is the person that now is what you call consciously incompetent. This is the person who is at the stage where they start saying, wait a second, Andy, wait a second. You are on to something right now. I just realized that other than my regular education, other than listening to my parents, other than maybe watching one or two little quick clips and picking up a book here or there, I have never really truly invested in my communication skills. I've never taken the time to learn the techniques and the strategies on how to position myself when I'm actually communicating. I have never really taken the time to understand the different personality types and understand how to make sure that I actually know my audience. I haven't taken the time to understand the actual body language. I haven't taken the time to learn how to use fear of loss and different techniques and the strategies. No one has ever really taught me that. But now that I'm hearing you, I'm starting to realize that this is a skill set that I need to work on. This is a skill set that I actually need to develop. This is something that I need to work on. But I also recognize that this is a skill set that I just don't have yet. And so that person is what you call consciously incompetent. Now the light bulb's starting to go off. They're starting to recognize, they're starting to understand that, wait a second, this is something that I need to work on. And so those type of individuals, and I've gotten those phone calls throughout my professional entrepreneur career. I remember getting phone calls from certain friends that were also investing in real estate with me or actually doing transactions with me, that when it was time to actually do a presentation or when it was time to close a deal or when it was time to call somebody on the phone, they would call me up and say, hey, Andy, listen, do you mind getting on the phone and making this phone call? I'll throw you in the deal. Now, here's what you need to know. They had the same amount of knowledge that I had when it came to the actual business. They had the same amount of knowledge that I had when it came to the real estate. But here's what happened. They had never worked and developed their communication skills. But at least they had enough foresight. At least they were conscious enough to know that this was the area that they had to work on. And so, of course, I gladly picked up the phone call and gladly used these techniques and these strategies that I've worked on, which allowed me to get into the deal. And so I want you to be thinking about yourself right now when it comes to your communication skills. Maybe perhaps maybe you're at that point where now you realize, you know what? I realize and I recognize right now, Andy, that I am in fact consciously incompetent. I've come to the realization that, you know what? There are some things that I need to work on. I do need to invest in myself. I do need to learn industry techniques and strategies. I do need to understand the different personality types. I really do need to understand how to know your audience. I really do need to understand exactly how to position a story in order to convey emotion and be able to move people to action. I do need to understand, this is some things that I didn't exactly know on. I didn't understand that something called KYA, know your audience. I just get right in front of people and start speaking. I didn't even know that there were different personality types, Andy. I didn't know that you speak to one personality type different. I didn't know that you change your presentation. This is a person, they just literally, they just don't know how to do it. But at least they've come to a realization that, you know what? This is something that I need to work on. This is an area that if I start working on it, then maybe perhaps I'll get to the next stage. And so that's the second stage of learning. That is what you call consciously incompetent. Now, the third stage of learning, and hopefully you've written this down, the third stage of learning is what you call consciously competent. And so here's what I promise that I'm going to do. Before you leave, as I said, before we're done, I'm going to make you an offer that you can't refuse to be able to give you the skills that you need to be able to get to this third stage of learning, which is what you call consciously competent. This is now what you've gotten the techniques and the strategies. You've listened into the audio CDs. You flip through the workbooks. You're actually going through the information over and over again. You're learning the techniques and the strategies, and you're actually applying the techniques and the strategies. And now you're monitoring, you're actually seeing what kind of results that you're getting as a result of using it. And now, all of a sudden now, you're showing up differently in your presentations. All of a sudden now, you're showing up differently when you're talking and you're communicating with your boss. All of a sudden, you're showing up differently when you're sharing your story. All of a sudden now, you're showing up differently when you're beginning to make some things happen. And so when you get to that point, that is what you call consciously competent. Excuse me. That is the individual that finally gets to the point where you're starting to realize that I needed to work on these skills. I needed to make some things happen in order for me to be able to take myself to the absolute next level. Now, I want you to write that part down. It's called consciously competent. Now, as I was telling you, with this particular area will become consciously competent. How do you get there? You get there by being intentional on working on the techniques and the strategies that are going to help you to become a better communicator. You get there by being very intentional, by going to the workshops, the seminars, by investing in the programs and listening to them over and over and over again. And so one of the things I can tell you, as I get there and I'm able to go and fly across the country and deliver keynotes and be able to train individuals and talk to them about effective communication and strategic storytelling, I can tell you right now that I didn't just wake up and start doing this. No, I invested thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars getting mentors, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars going to workshops and seminars. I spend so many hours watching other speakers on YouTube, watching TED Talks, actually reading books, countless books in the area of effective communication. And so here's what I'm trying to make you understand, that the area of strategic communication and learning how to be an effective communicator doesn't just happen overnight. And so here's what happens to most people. Unfortunately, they just don't get that. And so they just don't know what they don't know, and they just haven't taken the time to start working on it. But that's going to change for all of you. And so that's why I'm so grateful that you've decided to tune in and the Change the World Summit and be able to be here during prime time and know and understand that the key to success is based on your communication. It was Tony Robbins, he said that the quality of your life is based on the quality of your ability to effectively communicate. It's based on your communication skills. Les Brown would tell people over and over and over again that the quality of and success, the key to success is your ability to effectively communicate. That in order for you to be able to get a promotion, in order for you to be able to get more people into your direct sales business, in order for you to get more sales when it comes to your products and your services, in order for you to be able to create influence in a particular room, in order for you to have those connections that George Fraser talked about before, that you've got to learn how to effectively communicate. You got to communicate your products, you got to communicate your ideas, you got to communicate your passions, and you got to be able to communicate. And we're not just talking about just speaking, standing flat-footed and just speaking. That's not going to cut it, okay? What you got to know how to do is how to use the techniques, the strategies, and make some things happen. And so I promise you that before you leave, that I'm going to share with you some techniques and some strategies, something that you're going to be able to actually invest in yourself and be able to work on these things over and over and over and over again so you can take your communication to the next level and produce greater results when it comes to your finances, create better results when it comes to your relationship, create better results, and have more influence. And of course, the final stage of learning, this is the final stage. And I have to be honest with you that I don't think we should ever feel like we've ever arrived. And so I believe it is a lifelong journey. And so I can tell you right now that I have witnessed some of my mentors, my personal mentors, that are legends in this industry, that I have witnessed when I have been standing on stage and speaking. I have seen my very own mentors and people who are animals and what I call beasts in this industry actually sitting down and taking notes. And I remember the first time I saw that, I was just blown away. I said, how could that be? That these are giants and they're gurus in the industry. And I'm speaking, and I'm talking about years ago, I'm speaking, I'm seeing these people taking notes. Well, the reason why is because they understand that you never stop learning. You never, ever stop learning. And so when you get to this final stage, what you realize is this is a continual process. It never ends. This process is what you call unconsciously competent. This is the stage in which you've been working on your communication skills so much. You've been working on the techniques and the strategies that you don't need a script. You don't need to keep practicing this stuff over and over again because this is what you do. You've been working on this presentation so much. You've listened to the audio tapes, the CDs. You've gone to the 3-day seminars and the workshops. You've picked up the books. I mean, you are now 5, 10, 15 years in on working on your craft. And now when people see you, they say, wow, she is so amazing. When they see you, they say, wow, excuse me. He is so amazing. And they can't understand how you do the things that you do. Well, what they don't understand is that you've been working on your craft. What they don't understand is the amount of hours that you put in listening to the audiobooks, the CDs, the tapes. What they don't understand is that you understand that what Warren Buffett said is absolutely correct, that the best investment that you can make is investment in yourself. And so you've taken the time to invest in yourself. You've taken the time to actually work on your communication skills. You've taken the time to make some things happen. And I can tell you right now that as grateful as I am to have the opportunity to fly around the country, to be able to talk to corporations, to be able to deliver keynotes, to be able to be on national television and doing interviews, that I can tell you right now that those opportunities would not be made available to me if I didn't put in the work, the countless hours, going to workshops, going to seminars, investing in myself, in working on my communication skills. And I can tell you right now that in order for you to take your communication skills to the next level, in order for you to make some extraordinary things happen, that the thing that's going to be required is that you've got to be willing to put in the work. And so here's what I know. Success is not convenient. No. Success is something that you absolutely have to make room for. You know, one of my mentor who has since passed away, his name is Jim Rohn. He said that success is a few simple disciplines exercised when every single day. And so every single day, this one area that you have the ability to take your life to the next level, this one area of communication is the one area that you get to work on every single day. I can guarantee you right now, there's not a day that you don't go through in which you're not communicating. And the way that you communicate is telling the world who you are. The way that you communicate is telling everybody why they should buy your products or your services, or why they should actually join your organization, or why they should actually give you the promotion, or why they should actually pull out their checkbook and write a check to your nonprofit organization. It's all based on your ability to effectively communicate. And so here's what I know. Here's what I know, that now more than ever, that it's becoming more and more difficult for certain people to get ahead. And statistics and studies have found that the gap between the haves and the have-nots is widening dramatically. And the reason why it's widening is because there is a significant difference in the way, number one, the mindset of those that have. There's a huge difference in the way that they think. And so we understand that that's one area that we've got to work on, right, is our mindset. But then the other thing is working on our skill set. Think about all the things that are changing today. I mean, you're right now, chances are you're watching me. You may be watching me on your cell phone. You may be watching me right now on a PDA. You may be watching me on a computer. I mean, things have changed. Before, in order to get this type of information that you've been getting on the Change the World Summit, you had to actually go to a physical seminar. I mean, you couldn't just turn open your laptop. You couldn't just open up your phone. You couldn't just open up your PDA and turn it on and put in the address for a website and start getting this type of information delivered directly to you. It couldn't happen. And so we understand that the things that worked yesterday no longer work today, but today is a new day. And so what happened is, even though the gap is getting wider, that what happens is that you can actually make the gap become smaller if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to leverage technology, if you're willing to leverage your skill set, and if you're willing to develop your skill set, start working on these areas. And I tell you, one of the places that I can tell you that you need to put in the time, the effort, the energy is your ability to effectively communicate. I cannot begin to stress it to you enough. There's no other area that I can think of that for you to put in the time, the effort, and the energy. And so here's another thing, and I want you to write this down because I want to give you another quick tidbit real quick before I tell you about something that I want to make sure that I share with all of you. But write this down. There are basically four major personality types, and I have enough time to share with you two of the personality types, and I'm going to tell you how you can learn about the other two personality types in just a little bit. And so when it comes to your communication skills, some of us, we make the I guess you'll say the mistake of thinking that the communication style is exactly the same for everybody. And so there's four different personality types, and so I'm going to give you two of them right now. And actually I'm going to give you all the names, but I can go into two of them right now. And so one of the personality types is what you call the shark. All right, so write that down. One personality type is a shark. Another personality type is what you call a whale. Another personality type is what you call a whale. Okay? Another personality type is what you call a dolphin. That's another personality type. And so the last personality type is something that you call an urchin. Now, here's what you need to understand. When you go to the shark personality type, the shark personality type is the individual that when it's their communication style, the shark is the individual that they're mostly concerned with the bottom line. That's the individual that's mostly concerned with what? Money. Normally, if you're going to stereotype a shark is a person that is direct, straight to the point. They don't want to waste the time. They don't care about any fluff. And when you're talking to them, all they want to know is what's in it for me. And so if you're going to communicate with a shark and you are beating around the bush, or you're taking a very long time to communicate with a shark, or you're trying to tell them this long, drawn-out story, you're going to turn the shark off. And so what happens to many of us when we're going to communicate our ideas, we want to communicate about our actual products or our services or whatever it is that we're actually promoting, what happens is we have a tendency to approach everybody with one communication style, but there's multiple different personality types. And so what we have to learn to do is identify those personality types and not change what it is that we're promoting, but simply change our way of delivering whatever it is that we're delivering. So if you want to think of a shark personality type, the stereotypical shark would be someone like a Donald Trump. And so if you're going to talk to a Donald Trump, number one, you better know what's in it for him. Number two, you better be able to tell him what's the bottom line. Number three, you better not be wasting any time, because he's not going to extend you the courtesy of wasting his time. And so many of us, unfortunately, have lost out on opportunities because we've approached a shark or we've approached a personality type speaking another personality type language, and that person got turned off. That person wasn't able to receive our message. Now, I'm going to give you another one of those descriptions. Now, I can't go through all four, and I'm going to tell you how you can learn about the rest. But here's another one of the personality types. Another personality type is the whale. Now, the whale personality type, that's the personality type that wants to save the world. All right, that's the person that is a heartfelt individual. All right, they're not just concerned about money. They actually are concerned about making an impact. They actually are concerned about contributing to people's lives. And so what happens is if you approach a whale and you're just talking about money and you're just talking about we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and you're straight to the bottom line, and you don't show the whale how this is going to make an impact. You don't show the whale your compassion. You don't show the whale that you actually are passionate, you actually want to make an impact. You are going to absolutely turn the whale off, because you're trying to talk to somebody who has a whale personality type, right? Somebody who actually cares, who has compassion, that actually wants to change the world, and you're trying to talk to them about money straight to the point. You're going to turn them off. Same thing if you approached a shark and you want to talk to them about how you want to change the world and compassion and all these things, you would turn them off. And so one of the major mistakes that we do is because we never take the time to learn these strategies, these techniques, and these personality types, that we approach everybody the exact same way with the exact same conversation. And I'm telling you right now, if that's what you're doing, you are doing yourself a large disservice. And so once again, you have the shark, and the stereotypical shark would be like a Donald Trump. Now you say, well, what would be like a whale personality type? The whale personality type would be an Oprah Winfrey. If you led your conversation off with Oprah Winfrey about, I want to come on the OWN network because I want to make money, I just want to be able to make a whole bunch of sales to all your viewers, I just want to be able to do this, the bottom line, listen, you would not have Oprah's attention, because Oprah has created her entire platform, her entire brand on doing what? Contributing and making a value and impact in other people's lives. And money, her becoming a billionaire, was a result of her first leading with her compassion. And so that's why it's so important that you have to understand these personality types so that you can change not your actual products or your services, but just the way that you're delivering. It's the same message, you're just changing your delivery style. And so, as I said, there's the shark personality type that now that you know, there's also the whale personality type that you know. And I'm going to tell you, of course, how you find out exactly what the dolphin is and also what the urchin is. But I tell you right now that one of the things that we do oftentimes that really, really hurts us is because we haven't taken the time to develop our communication skills, because we haven't taken the time to attend the workshops and the seminars, because of the fact that we've convinced ourselves that just what we've heard as we went through the school system and what we've heard within our household and what we've heard between our friends and our family is enough for our communication. We're walking around, and unfortunately, guess what? We are a huge liability. We're a major liability to ourselves. And so here's what I know, and here's what I can say to you right now, that if you know that this is your opportunity right now to change the world, and so you've logged into the Change the World Summit, because you have this thing in your heart, something in you that says that you want more. But here's what I got to be honest with you, and here's what I know, that you cannot change the world until you first change who? Yourself. And one of the first ways to change yourself is to actually expand, number one, your mindset, but the other thing is to develop and work on your skill set. And one of the things that I would say to you right now is the absolute key, the key to your success is going to be your ability to effectively communicate. to be able to talk about your products and services, to be able to talk about your nonprofit organization, to be able to talk about your direct sales organization, to be able to talk to your boss and talk about the value that you've added and you've contributed to the business and why you should actually get the promotion, to be able to walk into a group and be able to demand the attention of the group, to be able to get in front of a group as opposed to just speaking to one person. Most of you would be able to take your business to the next level. For those of you who have to do presentations or meetings, instead of meeting with one person at a time, if you were actually meeting with a group or a large group of people, you'd be able to exponentially grow your business. But unfortunately, many of us shy away from that because we haven't developed our communication skills to be able to have the confidence, the skill set, and also the ability to be able to get in front of a room and be able to command the attention of the room, to be able to talk about our products and our services, and most importantly, to be able to move people to action to do the things that we want them to do. So here's what I promised you. Here's what I promised you. And I promised you, number one, that for those of you who know in your heart that you really need to take your life to the next level, for those of you who know that in order to change the world, that you must first change yourself. And for those of you who understand, as you were hearing me speak, you said to yourself, you know what, I know this long enough that my area of communication, that this is an area that I need to develop. This is an area that I need to work on. I promised you that I am going to make you an offer that you can't refuse. And I can honestly say and look at you with integrity and say that I have never made this offer the way that I'm going to. And so here's the offer. For those of you who are looking to get to at least that third stage of learning, where you want to become consciously competent, you want to be able to have the techniques and the strategies to be able to effectively communicate, to be able to walk into a room, to talk about your products and your services, and to have influence, that one of the things that you understand is you've got to work on your ability to communicate. And so here's what I've done. I attended over the past, I can tell you right now, over the past probably decade, I have spent so much time in personal development, going to workshops and seminars. And not only that, but probably over the past 5 years, I have really created a niche of focusing mostly on the area of strategic communication and strategic storytelling. And so here's what I can tell you, that I have literally gone to countless workshops and seminars and have spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars to develop my communication skills, to learn the techniques and the strategies that are used by those who are leading the industry. And so what I have done over the past couple of years is I developed a program, and what I've done is I've taken the techniques and the strategies that are being used by the industry experts, the ones that I've learned at workshops and seminars in which I spent thousands of dollars, 2-day seminars, 3-day seminars, 1-week seminars that I've spent on one-on-one coaching and coaching programs that have cost me tens of thousands of dollars. And what I've done is I've created a wonderful program, a take-home program that allows you to get these principles that, you know what, for sometimes I've been in workshops and seminars where they made these principles a little more difficult than they needed to be. And here's what I did. I took these principles and I simplified them in order to be able to help you to take your communication skills to the next level. And so here's what I want to offer you. I want to offer you my program that I've created. It's called the Speak Easy program. This Speak Easy program, it is in the program, and I want you to hold tight because I've got a couple of extra bonuses and so forth in it. In this Speak Easy program, there are basically 4 audio CDs. And in these audio CDs, there are 22 modules, 22 separate modules of industry methods and techniques and strategies that are going to help you to take your communication skills to the next level. These are techniques and strategies, and I'm not talking about the basic stuff that you can go Google online or you're going to learn at a Toastmasters, okay? I'm not trying to discredit that stuff, but I'm not talking about having good posture and making eye contact with the audience. No, I'm talking about learning the different personality types. I'm talking about learning about when you're using a story and understanding there are 3 significant things that you got to do in a story. Understanding the 3 questions that you have to answer every time you get in front of an audience. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? Understanding the techniques and the strategies when you're communicating with people and you're actually sharing stuff. Understanding on how to actually set the intention. Understanding on how to close the deal. Understanding on what it takes for you to actually move people to action. Understanding on how to use scarcity. We're talking about techniques and strategies that I have used, that industry experts have used in order to take their things to the next level. So in the Speakeasy program, which is going to be a program that many of you are going to get, the Speakeasy program, if you go to my website, if you go to my personal website, you know that the Speakeasy program alone sells for $500. But I told you that I'm going to make you an offer that you cannot refuse. So on my personal website, you know that this program alone goes for $500. Now, as a bonus, on top of the Speakeasy program, what I'm also including is the Speakeasy bonus workbook. This is an additional workbook, which additionally I sell for an additional $50. In this bonus workbook, it's going to allow you to apply the principles, the techniques, and the strategies that I share within the Speakeasy program. And so how many of you know you bought a program before and you listened to it and you listened to it in your car, but guess what happened? You didn't apply the techniques and the strategies. You didn't actually get out there and start making some things happen. And so I understand. I myself have done that in the past. And so what I did was I created this workbook that's going to actually allow you to start implementing the techniques and the strategies. Now, I promise you that I'm going to make you an offer that you can't refuse. And so first of all, for those of you right now that you're watching this, I want you to open a separate browser. I have a separate website specifically that you're going to go to in order to get a special discount, and I'm not done yet on the Speakeasy program. So I want you right now to go to the website, Speak with Purpose. That is the website that I want you to go to. You're going to go to that website and you're going to see the Speakeasy program on that website. And of course, instead of this program actually selling for $497, you're going to go to the website, Speak with Purpose. Instead of you getting the Speakeasy program, which normally costs $500, and the workbook, which is an additional $50 value, instead of you paying $500 and having to pay the $550 on top of that, and I can tell you right now, that is also a very generous price, and there's tons, and I could tell you right now, hundreds of people that have paid that price with my 100% money back guarantee that have benefited from this, because I know that in here are the techniques and strategies that I've attended workshops and seminars and spent thousands of dollars. So when you go to the website, Speak with Purpose, you're going to see the Speakeasy program, and you're going to notice that on the website, I'm giving you a discount from $497 that takes it to $347. But here's what I promised you. I promised you at the Change the World, the Change the World Summit, I promised you that I'm going to give you an offer you can't refuse. I'm going to give you an additional coupon code, and I want you to write this down. The name of this summit is called Change the World Summit. And here's what I want you to write down. Write this coupon code down. The coupon code is change, spelled out correctly, all lowercase. The word change. And so the name of the summit is Change the World. And so I want you to write this coupon code down. It is change. Now, when you go to the actual checkout, the Speakeasy program that normally goes for $500, and on top of that, the bonus workbook, an additional $50 value. And I can tell you the total value of the program is thousands of dollars, because I went to workshops and seminars, and I'm telling you the techniques and the strategies are on here, and there's plenty of testimonies. There's plenty of people. I know there's some of you who are watching right now who already have the Speakeasy program, and I thank you, whether you got the Speakeasy program because you saw me presenting, whether you saw it on the television or whatever it might be. But I tell you right now that in the Speakeasy program, on top of you going to the Speak with Purpose and getting a discount at $347, the coupon code that you're going to use is change. And so what is that going to do? That is going to give you an additional discount of how much, Andy? A discount of $1? No. A discount of $10? No. A discount of $50? No. An additional discount of $100? No. An additional discount of $150. And so I can look at you right now and with integrity tell you that I have never, ever made this offer before. And so you will get the Speakeasy program, including the bonus workbook, for $197. And here's what I can tell you right now. That coupon code will only be available for the next 24 hours. The change coupon code, which is change, the word change all spelled out correctly, which is going to give you an additional $150 discount, is only going to be available for the next 24 hours. Now, for those of you who take action, in other words, the first, I would say the first 50 people who actually order the Speakeasy program, who are not going to get it for the $497, who are not even going to get it for the $347, but rather going to get it for the $197 once you put the change coupon code into the checkout as you're checking out at Speak with Purpose. I'm going to also throw in there, on top of that, because I'm not done yet, I'm going to throw in there the Show Up for Your Life motivational CD. This CD has 2 messages that I'm telling you will change your life. In the 2 messages on there is the message. It's called the Show Up for Your Life message, which many of you know that signature story. That's the story about my mom, and a compelling, amazing story about a woman who came to this country with less than $150 to her name, who realized the American dream because she was willing to show up. And I'm telling you right now that I'm going to throw this CD in. This CD is $20, and plenty of people, literally, I don't know, I probably sold a couple thousand of these CDs. Speakeasy, the Show Up for Your Life CD. On there's 2 messages, the Show Up for Your Life message, and on top of that, there's the message that called Opportunity Only Dances with Those Who Are Willing to Show Up on the Dance Floor. Opportunity only dances with those who are willing to show up on the dance floor. And so, of course, not just that, but for those of you who are going to take immediate action, I'm also going to throw in there the infamous Show Up for Your Life t-shirt. That's the Show Up for Your Life. That is my signature quote, show up for your life, because if you don't, ladies and gentlemen, nobody else will. And so I told you that I was going to make you an offer that you couldn't refuse. And so for those of you who know that this is your time, for those of you, you know that this is your time to change your world. But you understand that in order to change your world, that you have got to do what? That you have to first change yourself. And you understand that the key to success is effective communication. And those of you who know right now, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Those of you who know right now, you're sick of not bringing the right amount of people into your direct sales business. You're sick of being overlooked for the promotion at work. You're sick of not being able to move your products and your services. You're sick and tired of going to networking meetings and going into a corner and not dominating and taking control of the room. And you know in your heart that you need to take your communication skill to the next level. I'm telling you, go right now to the website, Speak with Purpose. It should be on the screen right now. Speak with Purpose. And right there on top of that, when you go to the website, you're going to actually see a video endorsement from none other than world-renowned motivational speaker himself, Mr. Les Brown, who says that the key to effective communication is the ability to effectively communicate. And Les Brown says that, listen, if you want to take your communication skills to the next level, if you want to increase your influence, if you want to get your product sales, he'll tell you right now, without a doubt, that the Speak Easy program is the program that you want to have to be able to help you to do that. You will see the video with Les Brown endorsing the Speak Easy program, because he knows that the techniques and the strategies, many of these techniques and strategies I've learned from Mr. Les Brown and many of the absolute best in the industry. So once again, you're going to Speak with Purpose. Instead of it being the $500, you already got a discount to bring it to $347, but I'm giving you an additional coupon code, which is available for the next 24 hours. You're going to put the coupon code CHANGE in, and you're going to get the Speak Easy program, including the Speak Easy workbook, including the Show Up for Your Life CD, including the Show Up for Your Life t-shirt. You're getting all of that for $197. I'm telling you, I have never, and I'm not telling you this just to impress upon you, I'm telling you, I have never made this offer before. You can look, you can check it online. That is not available anywhere online. So that change is the way that you do it. And so here's what I want to say, and here's what I know. That many of you know that right now, this is your time to create change. This is your time to change your world. But in order for you to change your world, you must first do what? You must change yourself. And in order for you to change yourself, you understand that you've got to expand your mindset. You've got to take your mind to a different level, but also in order to decrease the gap, in order for you to promote your products, in order for you to promote your services, in order for you to have more influence, that the only way that you're going to be able to do that is being able to have effective communication skills. And I believe in my heart that the X factor, the thing that's going to take you to the next level, is when you begin to work on your communication skill, your ability to talk with power, feeling, and conviction, your ability to know the techniques and the strategies that allow you to promote your products and your services. And so if you know that this is an area that you haven't invested in, and you know in your heart that you need to take the things to the next level, Don't waste any more time. Stop sitting on the fence. Here's what I learned, that people who sit on the fence, guess what? They get shot from both sides. Get off the fence. Take action. Invest in yourself. Right now, I want you to go to Speak with Purpose. Get the Speakeasy program. You're going to use the coupon code CHANGE, and that's going to give you an additional $150 discount. It's going to allow you to get the Speakeasy program, excuse me, for $197 investment in yourself. And so here's what I want to say. It has been an absolute pleasure for me to have been able to spend some time with you. And hopefully what I've done is just create a little bit of a shift for you to start thinking a little differently about the way you communicate, and think a little differently on how you're showing up when you are actually talking about your products, when you're talking about your services, when you're talking about your nonprofit organization. And so if you know in your heart that you need to take your game to the next level, and you understand that in order to do that, you've got to invest in yourself, what I'm telling you to do is you definitely want to make sure that in your personal library that you have the Speakeasy program. I want you to listen to it over and over again. I want you to go through the workbook. Of course, I want you to listen to the Show Up for Your Life bonus CD that I'm throwing on. I want you to rock your Show Up for Your Life t-shirt. And most importantly, I want to hear from you through social media. Send me a message and let me know how this program, applying these techniques and these strategies, has actually allowed you to take your life to the next level, and allowed you to just really shape these techniques and these strategies that maybe perhaps you haven't developed and you haven't worked on. And so once again, this has been Andy Henriquez. I want to say to you, of course, and this wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this, that you've got to show up for your life, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, nobody else will. Make sure you visit Speak with Purpose and go ahead and get your Speakeasy program. Thank you so much.